Okay, we just finished watching some videos and doing some practice problems on rational exponents with numbers. That means like a number that has a fraction exponent. Now we're going to talk about what happens when there's variables. So we're going to have to apply some of our exponent properties to this. So you'll have to remember how to do power of a power and things like that. So we'll review that along with our examples. All right, here's example 1. I'm going to use 2 different colors when I'm working them out so that you can kind of see. So please be taking notes along with me. All right, we're going to simplify the following problem. We're going to take the third root of xy to the 9th power. So typically, when you had this without the cube root over it, just xy to the 9th power, I think everybody knows how to solve that. But when you have this radical, the cube root, we have to simplify it a little bit differently. So let's go through the steps on that. Okay, step 1, you're going to rewrite using your fraction exponents or rational exponents. That's an M. Okay, so you're going to rewrite using fraction exponents or rational exponents. I'll give you about 10 more seconds to get that copy down. I know I write fast. Okay, so I'm taking this and I'm going to rewrite it using my fraction exponents. So I'm rewriting with x, y. Okay, it's to the 9th power, but it's also to the cubed roots. Remember, that would be 1/3, and that would be still 9. So it would be like the 1/3 times 9, or the shortcut that you could have picked up would be xy to the 9/3. Because if you do 1/3 times 9 over 1, you would get 9/3. So that was step 1 right here. Okay, step 2 is you look at the exponent and see if there's any simplifying to do. Okay, exponent simplify possible. I'll give you a little bit of time to write that down. Okay, I think I have to go back and remind you where that 1/3 came from. That 1/3 came from this, and then the whole thing's to the 9th power, so I'd multiply it by 9. You could have done it the other way around, 9 times 1/3, and you still get the same thing. Okay, now we're on step 2. Look at the exponent and simplify if possible. I'm looking at this exponent of 9/3. 9/3 can be simplified because 9 divided by 3 is 3. So I'm going to rewrite that as xy to the power of 3. I can't leave it like this. My answer is not done, so my step 3 would be to simplify using my exponent rules. So reminder, this means xy 3 times. You can write it out and then simplify, or you could do your power of a power rule. And then the simplified answer would be x to the 3rd power times y to the 3rd power. Okay, let's try another example. All right, this example we're going to simplify. All right, I'll give you a chance to write that down. All right, so we could simplify this and simplify this, two separate things, but I'm going to go ahead and simplify this first. So I'm just going to drop this down. And then we're going to rewrite this as a fraction like we did above. So the square root means it's going to be y to the 1/2 power times 4. Now I need to simplify that, and this changes to 4 over 2, which is the same thing as 2. So I'm going to rewrite that as, instead of y to the 1/2 times 4, I'm going to simplify it as y to the 2nd power. Okay, you could have done your calculator and done 1/2 times 4 and gotten 2 that way as well. All right, so that was step 1, is to rewriting this as a rational exponent, and we simplified it already. So we've already done those first 2 steps. Now we need to simplify this using our exponent rules. So I'm going to expand this 2 times. And now all I have to do is multiply my exponents. Remember, when you're multiplying exponents, you're really adding the exponents. So it's x to the power of 4 and y to the power of 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, 2 more examples. Okay, each time it's going to get a little bit trickier. All right, example 3 is going to deal with dividing. Okay, so we have our as radicals, we need to rewrite them first as fractions or rational exponents. So we're going to talk about both the top and the bottom. So remember, the top would be x to the power of 1/4. Remember that 4 changes to 1/4 times 8. So that is the same thing. We'll talk about that in just a second. Is 1/4 times 8 would be 2. And then the next one would be, hold on, pause for a second. Okay, and then the bottom we would simplify. It's x to the power of 1/4 times 6 this time, because that's a 6. And that time you get x over 3/2 instead. All right, so now we have to remember you can't really do x to the 3/2 power, writing it out and expanding it. So you have to remember your exponent rules. When you're dividing exponents, remember you're subtracting them. So you're going to do x to the power of 2 minus 3/2. 2 minus 3 divided by 2 is 0.5. So it's the same thing as x to the 1/2. And remember, we can write that as x to 1/2 or the square root of x. Okay, one more example. This one's probably the most difficult one. Hold on, let me get the light. Okay, example 4. We'll take the third root of 8x to the 9th all to the 2nd power. It looks really, really tricky, but it's not. All right, step 1, we're going to rewrite that using fractional exponent form. Remember, that turns into a 1/3. So we take the whole thing underneath the radical, and instead of time to the 2nd power, it's going to be 2 times 1/3 power, remember? Which is 8x to the 9th to the power of 2/3. Okay. Now, we're going to break this into 2 separate parts. We can take 8 And think of 8, remember, as 2 to the second power, to the third power, but we'll go back and do it from the videos from before, my bad. Okay, remember this is the same thing as the cube root of 8 to the second power if you look at that fraction. And then this one is the same thing as, oops, my bad, cube root of x to the 9th all to the second power. So we're going to break it up into 2 different problems. Okay, this one, remember, 8, the cube root of 8, you should have remembered is 2, because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So this is just 2 to the second power. It simplifies 2, because that's 2 to the second power, which equals 4. All right, on this side, you got to remember this, to get the cube root of this, you have to think what times itself 3 times will give you x to the 9th. Well, if I take 9 and divide that by 3, it's 3, 3, and 3 would equal 9. So the cube root of x to the 9th would be x to the 3rd, and then that would be to the second power, because that exponent's still out there. So when I simplify that, this would be x to the 3rd 2 times would be x to the power of 6. So that would be my simplified answer.